holiday.
We must pay homage to him.
Welcome to episode 6. This is like the first time in a very long time that we're doing it back to back. You know,
Episode 7.
yeah, that's right. Episode 7. Is it episode 7? It is.
Yes.
Yeah. I also can see that there's some people watching that haven't subscribed. You should probably do that. That's a good idea. But yeah, so, if you know me, you know, I'm not really, I don't know what you would say. I guess like the brightest wrench in the barn or whatever. I mean, I know a lot of shit, but it's all like really random shit. I know like 3 things more than anyone I know. The first thing that I know probably more than anybody is it's a shocker, okay? Let's just say that. It's a shocker. I'm going to give you guys a couple seconds to see if you guys can figure it out what it is as a viewer. I promise you won't know. The first one, Hindenburg disaster. I know everything about that thing. You know, the airship accident that happened in 1937. I know a lot about that. I also know a lot about the Enumclaw horse sex case. Whatever you do, do not Google Mr. Hands. The other thing that I know a lot about is, King Tut. You know, King Tut. The Tutankhamun. You know, I know a lot about that guy. But I'm also a huge idiot, right? I'm a big idiot. And I never told anyone this story, but when I was at my previous job, I realized I was a huge idiot. I was a fucking idiot. There was this guy on my job, alright? He only had one hand. And he didn't do too much. He was pretty much there, and he did parts. And he always wore a watch on the hand on the wrist with no hand. And if I was doing oil, if I was underneath a truck, if I was on the top of the truck, whatever the case may be, and I saw him walk by, I would always just imagine how he got that watch on his wrist. Then one day, we were in the lunchroom. I said, "Hey, why do you have a wrist? Or why do you have the watch on the wrist with no hand?" And I'll never forget this, because he just looked me dead in the face and goes, "Nick, how am I supposed to get it on the other wrist?" And I actually had to sit there for a moment and think, be easy. And then I'm like, all right. Let me just use my nub to hit the clips and everything. But yeah. So when people say, what are you good at? I'm good at being stupid. Alright, I'm good at making people laugh. I guess, I don't know. First thing we're going to talk about, Jack Eichel. Finally gets traded to Vegas. I'm pretty excited for
Vegas,
that,
baby.
if I'm being totally honest. Yeah, Vegas, baby, Vegas. I'm actually excited to see him there. We talked about it briefly, at least Tyler brought it up. Mentioned that he went, or there's a possibility of him going to Vegas. And I've been seeing a lot of mixed things, a lot of mixed feelings about the whole Jack Eichel situation from Buffalo Sabre fans. And I have a quote here from a tweet or something that said, "Anyone who thinks the Sabres did not take a step in the right direction today needs to look no further than the first social media posts after the trade. Eichel, as usual, about himself. No words of thanks to the organization that drafted him, the Pegulous who paid him $50 million, the team that made him a captain when he didn't deserve it, or the fans who supported him and the underachieving teams he led. He's entitled and a terrible leader. Great individual player, but I'm glad he's gone from my team," and that's in caps. Then you look at how Alex Tuch handled it, the way pretty much any professional would. Again, move in the right direction. For those of you who don't know, Jack Eichel posted a picture on his Twitter, said "Vegas baby Vegas," and him with an edited Vegas gear. Alex Tuch said, "First of all, I want to take a moment to thank the entire city of Las Vegas for allowing my family and I to call home for the past 4.5 years. I want to thank the Foley family," the simple stuff. A couple days after that, Jack Eichel came out, posted a good video, I believe, about him thanking the Sabres. But here's the other thing. I believe that comment is made very much out of anger, the first part, because look at the situation that Jack Eichel had to go through just to get the desired surgery that he needed in order to continue playing hockey. And I'm actually hoping, and I really do hope this happens, that he ends up on the American Olympic team now. And
it's a very, 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 very small chance that he does.
There's a very, very, very small chance.
Even if he gets the surgery today, his recovery time might be far past it. We don't know.
That is true, but at least he got the surgery, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like so he wanted to get this surgery instead of a disc. He's getting a disc replacement surgery in his neck instead of a disc fusion, which most hockey players have gotten. Now the whole thing is with the disc replacement surgery is this doesn't need to get redone. Once he gets the replacement, he's fine. Yeah. But with the fusion, you're going to have to get that redone in 10, 15 years. You're going to feel pain, and it's going to affect you in the later years of life. And he's thinking more in the long term than in the short term. Because, yeah, he could have gotten the disc fusion surgery, and then he would have been back on the ice with Buffalo, or he would have been traded months ago. Because it's been 7 months of this crap now. But with this surgery that he's getting, that Vegas is allowing him to get, he now has the opportunity to be able to get the surgery he wants, and he also gets to know that in the future, when he's older, when he's retired and has kids, he's not going to be in pain. And I think that's the most important part about this whole situation, is he's not going to be in pain in the future when he is done playing.
Absolutely. But I also think, too, going back on this comment that was made, that I'm sure other fans probably feel the same way. His last, I would say 2 years was treated not too well. And about this team he so-called led, what team?
Yeah, exactly. There has been nobody on that team.
Evander
he hasn't
Kane?
had. Okay, yeah, and then he left.
See ya. Go have fun. Well, apparently he has lots of fun on his downtime, but that's still besides the point.
Oh my god.
The whole
Ryan
thing
O'Reilly. Ryan O'Reilly was on that team. And there was a story that came out years ago after he left and went to St. Louis that he said he began to hate playing hockey when he was in Buffalo.
That organization should not exist. It shouldn't. I don't understand how someone can make this comment. Actually, let me rephrase that. I don't know how someone, first of all, can be a fan of that team, and then second, had the balls to make this comment. I don't think if you are making this kind of comment that you truly understand the management of hockey, the management of sports in general. You know, the other problem here is not just the Buffalo Sabres, but the fucking PA. The Player Association needs a better. I don't know what it is for NHL. Would it be a board? That's what I'm assuming, that you go up to a board. Like, I'm sure Carey Price went up to them and said, "Listen, this is the steps I need to take in order to get better. This and that, blah blah blah." I don't even really understand Carey Price's situation, but I'm sure that's something that's around. And it also ties in with this whole Kyle Beach situation too. The mishandling of not just Jack Eichel, but Kyle Beach. And let's just be fucking honest here. There's probably other fucking players right now that are probably dealing with something, but because they are not in the scope or in the range of Jack Eichel, that they're just not getting the kind of light that they deserve on their situation. Or maybe they're dealing with a situation, unfortunately, that's like Kyle Beach's, and hopefully they're learning their lesson. Yeah, sure. Gary Bettman is a quote-unquote doing the right thing now, but he obviously mishandled it before. He's obviously mishandled the other situations before, because Gary Bettman, if those of you who don't know, he's still the commissioner because he knows it's all about that money.
He's a lawyer.
Exactly.
And he knows exactly what to say on behalf of the owners.
Mm-hmm. He speaks on behalf of the owners, and he knows how to handle these kind of situations. Let me rephrase that. He doesn't know how to handle these kind of situations. He's trained for these kinds of situations. That's probably a better way of putting it.
Definitely is.
But the NHL Player Association should be fucking disgusted with themselves. And I still think Jack Eichel should still sue the Buffalo Sabres organization, should go after the NHL, and should also go after the Players Association. And as for Kyle Beach, if Gary Bettman doesn't give him full support, I think that should be a whole other situation. A whole different kind of lawsuit, I think, should be going through there. And now with the Chicago Blackhawks, suing their entire coaching staff.
You mean firing?
Firing, sorry. I'm on that word right now. That team is a mess. And I feel bad for the players that weren't involved, that weren't there. But I feel like that team, unfortunately, right now looks like it's going to be tainted, at least for the minimum, for the rest of the season. And maybe even next year, depending on how much information ends up coming out and how much ends up happening over the course of the next couple of months.
Now there's an independent investigation going on as well with the NHLPA and stuff. So there's all that. And then again, with the Blackhawks firing their coach and their assistant coaches and promoting their AHL head coach, that entire organization is just interim. There's an interim GM, interim head coach. I'm looking here. Who was it? Jeremy Colleton was their head coach. When they were playing under him, they had an 87, 92, and 26 record in the past 3.5 seasons. That's awful.
Yeah. What do you think, Taylor?
What was it? Chicago?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I'm looking at something else here that from the Buffalo trade. Oh, I don't know, but the Chicago is just, I don't know. It's just so ass backwards over there and whatnot. Like, I know that that coach got fired and whatnot, but who is available for the candidate now? Who out there would they be like bringing in?
They could use Tortorella.
Torts?
Whip
Yeah,
those boys,
that'd be-
whip those boys into shape.
Babcock?
But he, oh god,
No, isn't Babcock in like coaching some
He's coaching a
college team or
I
something?
I think he's coaching a college team.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think Torts would probably be good. Whip those guys in shape. I can't think of really anybody else that is available for a job.
The only thing is Torts is now working with ESPN, right? So he's on the panel.
Oh
there.
yeah, true.
But like, I don't know how like binding those contracts with the production companies are. But yeah, I don't know. That's just a whole other situation. And like the Blackhawks, in my opinion, I feel like the Blackhawks organization is just in shambles at this point. And I mean, they're taking steps in the right direction by getting rid of these people that were in the organization and stuff like that. But
Minus the GM.
yeah.
Yeah, it's so bad. And then they crossed off that one name, I forget who it was, off the Stanley Cup. So that was a plus.
Yeah, the video coach.
Yeah, took him off the Stanley Cup.
The original issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While we're on the topic of player associations, we just talked about Eichel, and I know that me talking about NFL is probably not, it's probably not the best decision, considering I'm assuming most people will probably be listening to the podcast for hockey, but I am a very big fan of the NFL. And I do treasure it a lot more than I do the NHL, unfortunately. And we just talked about Jack Eichel. But there's an issue going on currently in a very kind of similar situation in the NFL with Odell Beckham Jr. Now, I don't know if many people know this situation. I don't know how many people would be listening or how many people even care. Odell Beckham Jr., OBJ, hasn't been invited to practice. And his father, OBS, who, if you do not follow him on Instagram, you should definitely go follow him. He's a hoot. He posted a 10-minute video on his Instagram of Baker Mayfield completely ignoring OBJ on the field. OBJ is wide open. Doesn't even get to see the ball. And you know what? Whether there's an issue going on or not, I think that's the entire situation is being handled pretty poorly. Should OBS have posted anything in regards to that? Maybe not. But courtesy to OBS, he did get the conversation going. The Browns released, or apparently have released, Odell Beckham Jr. Now, he is arguably one of the best receivers in the NFL right now. Now, there is a lot of confusion behind Odell Beckham Jr. being released because if you are familiar with the NFL, there's something called a waiver wire.
It's just like in the NHL.
I don't actually know how it works in the NHL.
In the NHL, you send someone down and they put on waivers, and then they have 24 hours to claim, and then The rest of the teams in the league have 24 hours to claim the player. If not, then they go down to the AHL.
So it's kind of similar, I guess. But with the Browns excusing him from practice again, under the CBA, which, if I don't even know. Again, this goes to fact that, or goes to show how much I don't know about the NHL, but I don't know if the NHL has a collective bargaining agreement, but that's what that is. For those who don't know, so under the CBA, you can't do that because you're basically suspending him now without pay. So they either need to cut him or welcome him back. So the Browns right now are in a very interesting predicament here. They cut him. If he doesn't get picked up in the waiver wire, he will still get money from the Browns and a new team. The Browns' money in there is $8.05 million. If they cut him at $3 million, someone will definitely claim him. He would not want to be claimed, though. He definitely wants to be a free agent. And like I said, I'm not entirely sure how the waivers work in the NHL, or I guess now I kind of do. But in the NFL, it works. The worse team that you are, the higher you are on waivers.
Yeah, it's the same in the NHL.
So it goes by draft order. So the question here is, if you're keeping up, is that he could be a threat? Because what he could essentially do is, what they could essentially do is, what's it called? Can't think of the word. Retire. He could retire. He could threaten that he will retire. At least that's what I think, because other teams that he probably doesn't want to go on could possibly claim him. So what does he do after? Well, he can return and get traded. But that opens up a whole new other kind of conversation. Talib did that from the Rams to the Dolphins. And I remember the football fan world fucking exploded with confusion and theories. If he retires, from what I understand, is once the retirement contract kicks in, the team that originally had him holds the rights and can trade the rights. Gronk did this, by the way, for those who don't know. Gronk did this before he retired, quote-unquote retired, because he was going to be traded to Detroit. But like I said, here's what the question is. Right now we're past the trade deadline. So, can you trade the rights after the trade deadline? And will and can another team pick up the remainder of the contract in question? The other issue is this, right? He still has that $8 million still. Too much teams to pick up. Too much for teams to pick up. So I think what the Browns are going to do, and what I think they should do, is they're going to put a clause in where when they do put him on waivers, I guarantee he will be put on waivers, and no one picks him up, that the Browns don't have to pay him that full $8 million. But the issue is the fucking PA. And the fact that he has to go through the fucking PA and the waiver wire at this stage in his career is fucking ridiculous. Like, what the fuck is going on? But this is also on the Browns too. Because why not fucking release him before all this? He's just going to be more of an issue for the Browns. He's not going to help you win. And to be honest, and I'm just being honest, he hasn't been the same player since his exit from New York to Cleveland. I'm sorry, but that's fact. Let's face it. He's dropping easy balls. So now you're saying in your head, okay, Nick, but why didn't they just trade him? Why didn't they just trade him before all this? If they knew this was going to be an issue. And also, too, Baker Mayfield came out and said, I just want a conversation. Just a conversation. But you also have other people coming at Baker Mayfield saying that you fucking suck. Other high-named players flat out going, okay, where's the camera? What camera can I talk to? This one? Okay, yeah. Baker Mayfield, you're shit, and he's the reason why you're leaving. So, why did they not trade him? I'll explain. Von Miller just got traded to the Rams. Okay? For those of you who don't know, Denver was going to be cutting Miller at the end of the season. Why? It just makes sense. They've moved past him. He's playing differently now. So, Denver decided to pay $9 million to the Rams, as opposed to paying Miller the 9.5. So, they paid $9 million for a second and third round picks. At first, I was shocked. I was shocked at the trade. Then I looked at the scope of things and I said, okay, you know what? This makes more sense. So that's what that transaction was. That was a win-win situation for the Broncos and the Rams. Assuming Miller can still compete at the level or possibly at a better level. Now with Odell, no one wants to take on Odell and the money. So the Browns were going to have to pay and get no compensation for him. So why trade him? So here's the kicker. With the waiver wire that I fucking hate, vets have to go through the waiver wire if you miss the deadline. They have to. But if you do, the contract for the following year becomes null and void. Meaning you become a free agent at the end of the year. So whatever team won't assume your whole contract, Cleveland is on the hook to pay Odell. And Andrew Berry has no cards right now. He's in a rock and a hard place. I think they should just cut him loose and get him out of the fucking building.
Did you see what I just sent you?
Yeah.
Multiple players wearing free Odell shirts prior to today's game with the Ravens and Vikings.
Yeah. And it's sad because the other players understand. The other players know what's going on, and maybe the NFLPA might be a little bit more worse than the NHLPA. It is a far bigger organization, so they probably have so much more to deal with. So they probably don't really care. But the fact that he has to go through all this at the stage and level he is in his career is absolutely fucking disgusting. And Odell Beckham Jr. deserves so much more than this. I hope, for the sake of OBJ, that Tom Brady went to him. Hey, let's get you on the team. Let's get you on the field. Let's get you catching some balls. But here's also the other thing. I have read multiple times. I mean, I've never played at the extent of these guys. I've only listened to coaching staffs and scouting reports on what exactly they look for when it comes to making trades and getting new players and scouting new picks. Once guys are dropping easy balls, their legs are going. And OBJ has been dropping easy balls. So the question here is, can OBJ still play at the level that he showed us? And that's the other thing. We don't know. I don't know what exactly is going on in terms of playability. What I can see from the outside is that Cleveland, both and OBJ, still have a lot of talking to do. And we will see exactly what goes down. The other thing that I want to talk about, just very quickly before we move on from this topic of the NFL.
Are we talking Green Bay?
Well, that was one of the things that I wanted to briefly talk about after this, and that is the situation with Ruggs 3. Everyone knows, okay, that there's a very big difference between playing in the NFL and playing in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
Henry Ruggs right now is facing felony charges because he was arrested on a charge of DUI resulting in death. 22 years old, Henry Ruggs played for the Raiders. He was a wide receiver. If you don't know who he is, let me tell you, this kid could have been one of the best wide receivers the league has ever seen. He had a beautiful way of playing. A beautiful way of playing. And unfortunately, a woman was killed. And a dog. Listen, we have talked about something like this kind of similar before. All you have to do is catch a ball. All you have to do, go to your practices. All you have to do, listen to your coaches. You guys are making multiple millions of dollars a year. And now what? Now you keep going to jail for 20, 25 years. This guy was apparently clocked at going 156 miles per hour. And before the airbags went off, he was apparently doing 126, 125, something like that. Other person, he's driving a Corvette. Other person driving, I think was like a...
It was a Toyota RAV4.
Yeah, RAV4, like burst into flames. It breaks my heart.
Up to 46 years in prison if convicted on all 5 counts.
Yeah. I am shocked. I think about what was going on in both those vehicles at that moment. He probably has music full blast. Maybe he had alcohol in the car.
His girlfriend was in the car too.
Yeah. Maybe some loud music was going on, and then you see what's going on in the victim's car. It's probably quiet. Maybe she's getting off from work. Maybe she had a horrible day. Maybe she had a great day.
Her dog was in the car too.
Yep. Dog died. And it just makes me think that girl's life literally ended.
It's sad.
It is. It is very sad. And
really
it makes me upset for the sport of football. There's people in place. You know, it's come out. I've kept up with this. The NFL and the organizations, my organizations, I mean the other teams, all have programs in place to help with this because they understand it's a problem. You know, you're 20 years old. All of a sudden you're getting a contract for millions of dollars. You never had a job before. Maybe you flipped burgers when you were 15. You didn't give a shit. You probably did it for a month, 2 months, 3 months, summer. That's it.
You're playing football in high school. Then you get a scholarship. You go to college.
Yep. You're making money playing college ball now. So the NFL understands that. The NFL understands that. The NFL understands that they need to have something in place. And unfortunately, it's like no one takes it. I don't even know if the NHL has that. But something clearly needs to change. On top of that, very, very quickly, before I actually move on from that, life can change very quickly. Snap of your finger. it's probably best to ignore all the small crap that happens in your life and just do what you can, because you never know when there's going to be someone who's worth $100 million coming down a road at 156 miles per hour and slam into you. Aaron Rodgers.
And just before we get to Aaron Rodgers again, to the family of the victim and everything, we want to just say, we are so sorry, and we pray for you, and we hope that everything everything will slowly get better, but it will never be the same.
No.
And
no.
God, it just breaks our heart. It breaks my heart. It breaks Nick's heart. It breaks Taylor's heart. It's just a really sad story, and we feel so bad.
It's something that should have never happened. Aaron Rodgers. This situation with this guy, man. I'm telling you. I
can't.
This guy hates Brett Favre and literally became him. I am actually at a loss for words.
I was literally just about to say you were speechless at this whole situation.
I don't understand. I can't I have an article here. Let me just read that while I try to think of something to say, because I'm actually blown away. Multiple coaches and front office executives have complained that their teams apparently were held to a different COVID-19 protocol standard over the summer than the Green Bay Packers. While the NFL instructed teams that unvaccinated players were required to wear masks along the sideline during preseason games, Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers did not. One team executive said he received a memo from the NFL about the COVID-19 protocols that read, in part, any such individual with bench area access who is not fully vaccinated except for active players who shall be required to wear masks at all times, unvaccinated inactive players must also wear masks. One executive told ESPN, "That's BS. What's going on in Green Bay? That's not what teams were told by the NFL. Our players wore masks all the time. We made our guys that weren't playing wear masks." I feel like it's every other week there's something new about Green Bay or Aaron Rodgers or both.
It's like that picture that you posted on the Instagram of him on the grass when you wake up and realize that we're recording another podcast. That was the first thing that I saw of him, and then just the fact that he said that he didn't lie. He's like, "Oh, I am immunized. I didn't lie when I said that." Buddy, we're asking if you're vaccinated. I understand it's the same thing, but getting alternative treatment. I'm reading here he petitioned the league to consider him vaccinated after receiving alternative treatment, and the league the petition was denied.
He was looking
who do you think you are?
He ended up looking for treatments instead of the COVID-19 vaccine. Who are you, Joe Rogan?
Well, I mean, he's friends with him. He went and asked Joe.
Yeah, he did.
Was like, "Hey, what's a good option?"
I mean,
have you ever tried DMT?
I mean, who really knows at this point? I just wanted to bring that up pretty quickly. Next thing, Sergachev.
Yeah, let's get into some Toronto talk and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Taylor,
That was
what
a
do you
great
think?
game, by the way. That was
Taylor,
a great game.
Oh, it was a great game. I watched that game. That was the
Yeah,
only
it
game
was a
I've
great
watched
game.
so far. Taylor, what do you think of that suspension and that headshot, the Marner headshot? And I know before I let you go off on that, I was there for you when you got your headshot. When you took a headshot a couple of years ago, or a long while ago. I think you were maybe 18, 19 years old. And I played hockey very very briefly, but I never took a headshot. I cross-checked a kid in the neck by accident, but so if you ever need to talk about that, I'm always here for it. But yeah, you speaking from experience, what do you think of that entire situation there?
Yeah, that was just, in my opinion, I think. I didn't think he was gonna get, suspended out of it. I'm glad he did. I think it was just unnecessary. Like, the fact that
Completely
Marner was, headed pretty much on a breakaway. I actually don't even know how that wasn't a penalty shot, but
That's what I've been hearing is like Hedman was already hooking him. There was already a penalty on that play, and then you've got Sergachev coming in blindsiding Marner across the fucking skull.
Yeah, like absolutely no reason for that hit to be made. Like, the penalty was already being delayed. He comes in, it wasn't like he had no time to react. Obviously, the play was slow enough for him to realize like what he was doing, and he clipped him up high like that. I think that was totally uncalled for. I think it should have been more of a. I'm glad that Marner's fine. Like, that's obviously the most important thing.
Absolutely.
Out of it, right? You didn't knock him unconscious or anything. So, but again, like, I think it should have been like a 5-minute major. Like, that's, you got, like, you're trying to eliminate these kind of hits out of the game, and to only, like, penalize somebody for 2 minutes. I don't know. I don't think that's right. I think there should be more discipline there on that. But again, like, there was no reason for that hit. Sergachev obviously knew like how much time he had, and he still came in and clipped him like that. And I don't know. I think that's just a play that shouldn't be made. Like, just cut him out of the, stick check him or something. Like, if you're at the point where you're beside him or in front of him, you can make that play of stick checking him or whatnot. Like, there was no reason to come in and throw the shoulder up high like that. 2 games. Is it worth 2 games? Is it worth more? I don't know.
Like,
I think
he's already got his defensive partner already covering the body. Well, not really covering because Marner's on a break.
Yeah.
But cover the pass to the second forward if there is a second forward coming in, like, just in case, because you never know, Marner might pass to somebody else who's wide open. Cover that pass and make Marner shoot.
Yeah.
Like, you're supposed to play with your team. Don't just chase the puck. And I feel like that's essentially what Sergachev was doing. Was he saw that Hedman was back too far, and instead of doing the normal 2-on-1 play and covering the pass and making the puck handler shoot, he essentially went in for a completely unnecessary hit. And the penalty on the play was a joke. Only 2 minutes. I think that it should have been at least 5. Like, come on.
Yeah.
2 minutes for checking to the head, like, come on.
Yeah.
5-minute major, maybe even eject him from the game. I don't know.
I definitely think if he got injured, I think you're looking more towards that side of it, that 5-minute major, that 10-minute game misconduct. But I mean, you're trying to eliminate these hits. You got to give more than a 2-minute. Like, you're not really disciplining anybody. Oh, you get a check to the head, you're only getting 2 minutes. Like, how is that stopping the next guy from not doing it? Like, yeah. And Victor Hedman, that was an aggressive hook. Like, I can't believe that was a not penalty shot. Like, this guy is hooking the guy like he's in beer league, for God's sakes. Like, should
have been a penalty shot and then like a 5-minute major.
Yeah, so the headshot, like, that was ridiculous. And Vasilevsky, man, he's one of the best. He's probably the best or second best goalie in the league. And for both of these guys for not have faith in Vasi there to stop that, like, again, both goalies were on fire that game. It was a battle of the goaltenders. Like,
So
leave
good.
it up to Vasi to stop it. Like,
I'm happy
for
with
Sergachev to
Nylander.
come
Got
up.
the winner.
Oh, that was so sick. That was a very good game.
Absolutely. Apparently now Mrazek is out for 4 weeks.
Yeah, I was just
Yep.
seeing that Mrazek's out for 4 weeks. I guess he reactivated that groin injury from earlier in the season, which is kind of a bummer for us. I feel like now we've got to rely on Hutch, and hopefully he plays a little bit better than he did the first couple games this season. Maybe he'll come back and play like he did last season. I don't know, but it just it re-solidifies the fact that I didn't think even when we first signed Mrazek that it was a good idea, because like he's had injury problems. He's been a good tandem goalie, but I just don't know if having him for 3 years at, what is he, like 3.5 or something, is a good idea.
Yeah, something around there.
Muzzin's, I don't know if you noticed recently, Taylor, but Muzzin's been playing pretty rough too. Like that goal that Tampa scored in that game. Like, I don't know what Muzzin was doing there in that whole situation. Like, starting from the offensive zone, firing it completely wide and ringing it around the boards, and then just beelining it and lining it back. Like, the fact that Campbell didn't get injured on that play, if Campbell got injured on that play, I would have lost my mind.
Oh, we would be screwed. Like, Campbell's
the best goalie in the league by far.
Oh my God, this guy is.
It is so nice to, like, anytime you hear it makes a save, just to hear that soup chant in the Scotiabank. It's good soup. It really is good soup.
Yeah.
I love it.
I was always worried, like I said before, and I told people this, that, I was worried with the 1-2 punch that we had with Mrazek and Campbell, but I don't know, like, Campbell has just completely won me over. Mrazek, that first game that he played in was like, it was a little rough, but, the first game after his injury, he just completely shut the door. Like, he played really well, and I'm happy with the 1-2 guys that we have now. Mrazek obviously injured again, but got to rely on Jack to do it all. But, with Hutch, again, Hutch, I don't know, like, how many times is he going to get burned and we still give him another chance? Like, when is the time where be like, okay, this is obviously not working, you're not the guy, like trade him, send him through waiver wire, whatever, don't take him back again. Because every time, we claimed him like 3 or 4 times now. He's been back and forth with this guy. And every time he comes back, he's not playing great hockey. There's a couple of times where he's been good, but 80% of the time he's not been good. So I don't know. I think they called up Joseph Wool, which is
They did, yeah.
Yeah, which is good. So see him get a chance will be nice, but I don't know how much ice he's going to see. I don't know when our back-to-backs are coming up, so
We've got one coming up next week, Friday, Saturday. I think one's, I can't remember. I was just looking at the schedule last night. I can't remember what the, here, I'll pull it up right here. It's, it's Flames and then Sabres.
Right. So I would think Jack would start against the Flames, and then Joseph will get the Buffalo game.
For the Sabres. I was looking at the stats for Toronto right now. We are, like...
Speaking of the Flames, Markstrom. That guy's on fucking fire.
That guy is unreal.
He needed a bounce-back season after last season, because last season was a joke for him. Like, he did not have... Especially after coming off that really good season with Vancouver 2 seasons ago. I'm glad to see that he's kind of bouncing back, and Edmonton's on a roll.
Yeah.
Like 9-1-0 in their first 10 games. McDavid absolutely dangling the jock straps off of 4 players in the Rangers organization and still not even leading the team in points is absolutely hilarious. You're telling me that this guy has 22 points and Draisaitl's got more than him? That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Absolutely hilarious. that this guy can be the best, like one of the best players in the world, if not the best, and he's still second on his team in scoring. That's insane. Hyman's killing it. God, I wish he was still on our team. But he is flourishing. He's got 7 goals in their 10 games. The guy's on pace for like 50 goals.
Yeah.
I know.
Are you kidding me?
I'm really excited to see what else can happen. The fact that he what was it, like a 1-on-4 or 1-on-3 situation?
1-on-4.
It's just ridiculous. Ridiculous.
And, you got that 1-on-4. I think it was a power play. Maybe. I can't remember. But you got that 1-on-4 situation, and there was just a nice little I was watching when I was watching the game last night, there was a breakdown of that goal. And I forget who it was. I think it was one of the guys on the panel. I think it was Kelly Rudy said that Draisaitl picked one of the defensemen to give McDavid that space to go in and do that. And just his reaction after, someone on Edmonton, one of the photographers in Edmonton got an amazing picture of his expression after he scored that goal. And I swear, if you're an Edmonton fan and you don't have that as your phone background, you are not an Edmonton fan. I'm sorry. That is just insane.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, that was nuts.
In the editing, I'll try to throw that picture up. It's at this moment, and that way, if you haven't seen it, you don't have to go searching for it. It is.
No, it's everywhere.
It is a great picture. It is a great goal.
It's probably the best of the year. I'm
There's
sorry.
a very high chance, yeah.
I'm sorry. At the end of the season, there's going to be a highlight reel, top 10 goals. That's one. That's number one.
Absolutely.
How can anybody else? How can anybody top that? How do you top that? How is that not going to be number one of the year?
The only thing I can think of that could beat it is Ovechkin scoring on his back again.
Yeah.
If it somehow happened again.
Yeah.
For a third time? Or
that'd be the only way.
I forget his name. The one that scored in the air on Tampa. The one that he's known for doing weird goals like this.
Talking about Blake Coleman.
Is it Blake Coleman?
Yeah, he was
Scoring
the one that dove and scored with dove and chipped it in and scored with 4 seconds left in the period.
It was 0.5. Or yeah, it was there was 2 or 3 seconds left in the period, and he scored while he dove. He dove and was in the air and shot.
Oh my god. Yeah, it must have been Blake Coleman.
Yeah, I think it was.
Or a lacrosse goal. Probably see a couple of those this year.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say one last thing about Toronto, though.
They suck.
Toronto's here we are. Toronto's won 5 in a row. So are we good, Leafs Nation? Can we chill? Can we relax?
I wanted to bring this up.
The first couple games there in the winning streak, obviously it was Detroit and Chicago, and the Chicago one was coming back from a 2-0 deficit, and Detroit was back and forth the whole game. But the last 3 games have been. That Vegas game was chicken soup for the soul. Then you got that Tampa game where it's so tight the entire game, and then you got that last 50 seconds where JT scores, and then the power play in overtime where Willie bombs it. Beautiful. And then last night's game against Boston was just an absolute. It was mayhem. That was the loudest I've heard the Scotiabank Arena since probably the last time we played an American team in the regular season. There's something still about Toronto versus Boston that gives me anxiety. I tweeted about it last night. I don't care. It's 4-2. The goalie's pulled. I still have PTSD flashbacks from 2013. It gives me shakes. It gives me nightmares. I don't care. I will get over it at some point. But right now, anytime the goalie's pulled, I still oh, right, yeah, it's 4-2, but it's happened before, so I can't stop watching. And then when they iced it with that empty netter, it's just, we're on a winning streak. Let's go. And I think it's time for Leafs Nation to fucking relax.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And like I said before, like that Pittsburgh game, everybody said blow the whole team up, trade everybody, like forget it, fire everybody, fire the whole coaching staff. Like it was fucking 3-4 games in, and now we're on a heater now, 5 games. Mitch Marner's completely found his game again. Everybody was on his ass,
Thank
and
God.
have you heard anybody else say anything now? No, everybody shut the
No.
hell up because he's producing and he's doing good, and that's like everybody. Like once they're shitting on somebody who's not doing good or struggling, and now that he's back to what he is, and same with Matthews, nobody's saying shit. So yeah, we need to get like we're fine. Like the Leafs are good. They're finally grooving and getting it together, and we look good right now. Like those past 3 games were a huge test for us. Tampa obviously back-to-back Cup champions. They're one of the top teams, if not the top team in the league. Vegas, they're not easy to play against. And Boston, well, we know the history of Boston, so like we've 3 straight against those guys, like the big dog teams. Like that shows, like we're not here to we're not taking this lightly.
Yeah, and then we got the Kings on Monday, and then Flyers on Wednesday, and then we start rolling. Like I feel like we're in a good groove now. The boys are back, and Nylander's still leading the team in points. Nylander and Tavares are tied with 9 points in 11 games, and I feel like this is we're finally grooving. Actually, I think this is delayed back a bit, but I think we're grooving, and I'm really excited to see how the next week goes.
I actually feel bad for
absolutely.
Nylander, if I'm being totally honest.
Why?
Because I feel like if anyone deserves a very good contract, it's probably him. Let's be real.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think he's
yeah.
he's the best contract on the team. I think making that much money and second or tied with first with Johnny T making 11 mil. But I mean, it's obviously no Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews money. But I mean,
Well, I mean, it coincides perfectly with the whole fact that David Pasternak is making substantially less than what he's worth. Like the guy's making 6.6 mil. He should be making like 8 or 9
yeah,
because he's an absolutely unreal winger who pots in a solid amount of goals. Yeah, like you see that line on the ice, and like the fact that top line in Boston is equal to less than 2 of our players is insane. But yeah, like there are players that are underpaid, and then there are other players who are overpaid, and I feel like again, like you've even got Nathan McKinnon who's still making way less than what he should be making.
oh yeah, that's
The guy's making 6.3 for the next 2 seasons, for this
Yeah.
season and next. That's insane. Like there are players that should be making a lot more in this league who aren't, but you know what? They'll get their due. And Nylander will get his due at some point as well. I just hope that he sticks with the team. I hope that if this team can get through a couple rounds this season, it'd be nice. Prove to us that they can actually do something. And then I'll
Yeah.
be happy. I just want to be able to look at the team and be like, you know what, I'm happy with this core, and this core can actually do something and just keep working towards the initial goal, which is winning the cup.
You
I
know
don't
who
want to
has
see
no
these guys win it somewhere else.
You know who has no chance of winning the cup? The Seattle Kraken.
Ooh. Oh,
my
how the
God,
Kraken have
shots
fallen.
fired.
They lost against
Just
the
a
worst
week
team in the
ago.
league right now. That being the Arizona Coyotes.
I mean, just 1 week ago, we were talking about how they were in the middle of their division, and I looked at the divisions this morning, and I was, eighth. So I think that bet that we had, where you'd have to buy that Seattle Kraken jersey with the Francis name on the back of it, I don't think that's going to happen. But it's the
The
beginning
best,
of the season,
the
but
bet,
they're still playing like crap.
the best thing that Seattle Kraken has going for them is the colors of their jersey, the merchandise that comes out of it, and their logo. That's it. If I was to get anything that was Seattle Kraken, it'd probably be one of their sweaters with no name or number on the back. And it would probably be like a sweater, and that's probably about it. Maybe a hat if I was to get anything. This team is shit.
I'm gonna go over some stats with you here.
They're 4-7-1. That's the only thing I really know. They lost against a team that was 0-10 and 1 or 2.
Yeah.
No,
Arizona was 0-10-1, and now they're 1-10-1. I'm gonna go over Seattle's stats with you here. Goals for, 19th. Shots on goal, 25th in the league. Their power play percentage is 30th, 8.3%. 8.3. Their shooting percentage is 18th in the league, 9.3%. You got a face-off percentage of 46.9%. Then their defensive stats. Goals allowed, 3.18. That's 25th in the league. Their shots on goal allowed, 26.2%. That's first in the league. So they don't allow a lot of shots, but when they do, they're going in. Their penalty kill is 84.6%. Their penalty minutes is 13.7, 31st in the league. There's only one other team worse in penalty minutes. By the way, Toronto is second in the league for penalty minutes.
Nice.
Who's first? Or do you not know?
I do not know. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like Florida.
That's what I was thinking.
It's not.
It's not?
No. Seattle sucks.
Right.
This team is a joke.
Yeah. What is this? Just a repeat of me talking about KC, except we actually hate the team?
No, like, I'm sorry. Like, just, I don't understand what they were thinking when they built this team in the offseason. When they were selecting these players off of every team, what were you doing? You had the chance to go and get Tarasenko. You don't. You had the chance to pick up Carey Price. You don't. You had the chance to... The list goes on.
Yeah, there were so many. PK Subban.
Giordano?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Name the guy captain first game of the season. Why?
He's leaving next season.
You really gonna re-sign him?
Holy crap! Imagine how pissed off he'd be right now.
Holy!
Looking at Calgary, seeing Markstrom. He's probably texting them, "I miss you" late at night.
I'm gonna go over these goalie stats. Chris Driedger, he's only played one game, but he's an .857 save percentage. Philip Grubauer, .897. When you sign this goalie off of free agency and you take him from Colorado, are you expecting the same numbers when you don't have the same defense? I'm sorry, but it correlates so much.
Oh yeah,
because you
matters.
look at somebody like someone like Freddie Anderson, who finally lost his first game of the season last night, only because Ranta got dummied by some Florida player and was injured. Freddie had to come in, and he absolutely got fucking demolished last night, finally. He was about to break Campbell's record that he just set last season. But you look at somebody like Anderson, who was playing absolutely terrible in the first month of the season, every season with the Leafs. You look at him, he's playing amazing. Anderson's got, let me look at this, hold on, stats. A .949 save percentage. 1.5 goals against. If the defense in front of you is completely different, it's going to change the way your goalie plays. That's why you got somebody like Freddie playing so well in Carolina, because the defense in Carolina is disgusting. Disgusting. Whereas you got Toronto, who, yeah, the defense is getting better, but it's not as good.
Yeah.
Justin Hall sucks. He's been scratched for 4 games straight.
Yeah, it's time to get rid of that guy. I'm glad that he's on the trade block about time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
My final thing, how Seattle has fallen. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
It's just so bad that they lost to Arizona. Like, I just don't get it.
The fact that Arizona finally won their first game against Seattle is just music to Nick's ears, honestly. He probably saw that this morning when he woke up and he's like, nature is healing.
The world is tilting back on its own axis. Listen, when you have someone who makes a team the way they fucking did, like as if they were playing NHL 17, what the fuck do you think is going to happen in real life? This is one of those teams that you hit the randomize button just so you can move forwards. You don't have to sit there for 20 minutes trying to figure out the cap and trying to do all. You just go, whatever. Just give me whatever and I'll figure it out down the line. I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. Yeah, sure, you had all these people saying, oh, we have all this extra money now. Okay, but what the fuck did you do with it? That's the first question. You did nothing. Zip. Okay? I'm sorry, strong boys. I'm sorry. Sorry, strong boys. And then you got a player like Yanni Gourde, who's gonna fucking fall through the cracks. And you got Grubauer, who's not a bad goalie. He's not. I remember him on the Washington Caps. He was great. I honestly was very upset when they got rid of him. I, at that time, was thinking maybe they should get rid of Holtby.
I think they should have.
At that time, yes. Grubauer could have excelled greatly on that team. But, I'm sorry. Ron Francis has no idea what the hell he's doing. Hackstrol, or however the fuck you pronounce his name. I actually, if I'm being totally honest, I'm looking this up right now. I know, wasn't he?
He was coaching. He was an assistant on the Leafs for the past couple seasons. And I think
Didn't he do
also,
something with Philadelphia?
I believe he was the head coach of Philly for a couple years as well.
Yeah. I'm sorry. He should have. There should have been no reason. There should have been no. I'm sorry, I'm getting a phone call right now. There should have been no reason that this team should have been bad. And I'm sorry to the fans, but the reality is, you're better off being and staying a Vancouver fan. There should be no
they
reason.
Seem to be really enjoying, like, when they're winning and stuff, and, like, when they win games, they seem to really be enjoying. And, like, don't get me wrong, Seattle puts on a great show. I've tuned in for, like, 5 minutes of a couple games and stuff like that. They put on a great show. And, like, the fact
that's
that
fantastic.
They did...
That's great that they're great. That's great that they're good showmen. They have good showmanship. I don't want to watch hockey for what the fuck they do during the game or during their goals or whatever the hell else. I want to know, are they winning? And they're fucking not. If they wanted to get into fucking show business, they should have opened up one of those bars that have the crazy women in it, the burlesque bars, and they could have had some fun doing that instead with their fucking $100 million or whatever the hell else they did. But no, they got into the business of hockey, and unfortunately the business of hockey means you have to play at a level that is acceptable to be on the rankings. You're at the highest level. This is why I don't understand why the Sabres are still around. Both of these organizations should not exist. Arizona are up and down for me. But
and I root for them. I really want them to succeed. It'd be really fucking cool if Arizona could just succeed. But, like, I'm looking at their stats, and they are... By the way, they are 32nd in penalty minutes, by the way. You asked, I figured it out. Arizona is 32nd in penalty minutes with 15.3 minutes per game, averaging.
Jesus.
This didn't, like... I thought Seattle was bad, but obviously Arizona was worse because they just won their first game. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
I also just want to mention one thing really quick. We're gonna rewind here. Um,
Let's take it
Baker
back.
Baker Mayfield just connected a 60-yard touchdown with Donovan Peoples. Um, looks like they're doing pretty good without him. I just want to point that out there. Um, so it looks like the team can definitely succeed without Odell. Uh, but I'll let you guys continue this conversation. Give me 1 second.
In my opinion, I was just gonna move on from Seattle and go over to Arizona. I think that Arizona's having a rough time. I want them to succeed. I want them so bad to succeed. I feel like they did not have a good time recently when it comes to management dealing with their assets. Obviously, there was that situation, I think it was last summer or a couple summers ago, where their GM at the time was doing illegal stuff with the draft prospects, asking them to like train and work out before the combine and stuff like that. So I know that lost them. Like, they've just been terribly managed, and I feel like I want them to succeed so bad. I feel like one of the reasons why is because Kessel's still on that team, and I want him to succeed, even though he's not the same Phil Kessel he was when he was on the Leafs, or even when he was in Pittsburgh. The moment he left Pittsburgh, it's gotten rough. The man's 34 years old. Is he even going to make Team America? I don't know. It'd be cool. It'd be a nice little goodbye send-off to him, but, I mean, 1 goal, 3 assists in 11 games. It's rough to see Phil the Thrill where he's at now. Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Yeah. Arizona, man, I don't know. I don't know what their problem is over there. The fact that Shane Gostisbehere is leading the team in points with 6.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, it's bad.
Is Domi still there?
No.
No. Domi's on Columbus.
Yeah.
Domi got traded from there to Montreal for what's his face, Galchenyuk, and then got traded from Montreal to Columbus.
Now he's on the IR.
Yeah.
Oh, they're cheating. They're cheating.
One good thing for Arizona, they did just claim Scott Wedgwood from the Devils, so at least they do have a goalie that could be somewhat decent, maybe, because they have Vejmelka and Hutton are their 2 goalies, and from what I'm seeing, it looks like they've been starting with Vejmelka most of the season.
Jeez.
This is a rough team. I watched their game against Buffalo. That's where they got their 1 point from. That was their overtime loss.
Wow.
But very rough in Arizona, and I hope things start picking up for them soon. Probably not this season, but within the next couple.
Yeah, there's not a lot of promise.
I just want them to compete, Like, I feel like there's a level where, like, you get, like, the top, like, 20 teams are all relatively competing within each other, and then you got the bottom 12 that are just dog shit every season.
See, that's one reason why I absolutely love Formula One. Because, yeah, sure, like right now the Mexican Grand Prix is on right now, and we have the whole thing with Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen and McLaren kind of creeping in and trying to steal points. But the best is watching the bottom end teams, the bottom end constructors go at it. Haas against Williams, and those are always fun to me, and I find that the bottom end of NHL just sucks. It just sucks. It just sucks to see it. It makes me so
feel
angry,
like
and I don't
it makes
understand.
You
I
feel
don't know
like
if it's an. I don't know if it's a thing about money, because everyone has the same salary cap. So for me, when I'm thinking, what is the issue? Okay, it could be a number of things. Luck in the draft. 2, maybe players aren't motivated. Or 3, which I feel like is it for a lot of it, especially Buffalo, and Seattle, management. To me, that's the only thing that I can die down to. And if I'm running a business, not even like I'm not even saying running a sports organization. I'm saying just a regular business. If I have a manager, a general manager that's doing bad, why would I keep him around? Like, I know I've talked about it before, but Kyle Dubas, why is he still around? I don't know. Buffalo Sabres, I don't even know who he is. That's how much I don't care about that team, and I never will. I'm looking it up right now. Kevin Adams with a Y. Okay. What are you able to do? He's been there since 2020. No playoff appearances. Then you had Boderil, or however you pronounce his last name. He was there for what, 3 years? No playoffs. Tim Murray, 3 years, no playoff appearances. And then the last one, Rieger, Stanley Cup appearance. So, what happened in that time? Obviously, something happened. The curse probably started when they changed their awesome jerseys to that ugly, friggin' horrible designed one that they have now. But there's a reason why I'm a fan of hockey, and I'm not working for an organization. But I'm just saying, it makes no sense. For me, it makes no sense. I don't see a comeback for Buffalo or any of these low end teams without a really big restructure. Because I'm tired of, like, this was another reason why I stopped watching hockey that I didn't end up mentioning. Just because I thought I don't want to lay down the hammer. I'm not here to bash, but I don't like coming up with a team. I don't like to see Tampa facing Arizona or Seattle, or when they play Seattle, or we're playing Buffalo, and they just go, well, I don't even need to watch this game. I know it's gonna happen. That's not fun to me. It's the same reason that we talked about before. I want to see competition. I want to see the best of the best. And why am I watching? What's the point of me watching hockey if all I need to do to see the same level of play is to go down to Parkdale and watch the House League kids? What's the point? There's no reason. And at the same time, I'm like this with football too. My favorite team, unfortunately, is not the best team in the league. But we have very good players. Okay? We had what some people would call the best quarterback since Tom Brady. I have a very, very different opinion on that. But I'm a very big Carolina Panthers fan. I love the Panthers. I also like the Rams, and I also like Cleveland Browns because my dad is a Browns fan. But, the Browns and the fucking Panthers are horribly ran businesses. Our entire coaching staff came from college. Yeah, sure, these guys might be great accolades, might have great accolades when it comes to their stats and whatnot. But I'm sorry, but college ball is a very different kind of game than the NFL. Don't get me wrong. I love Matt Rule. I think he's I think he's a great coach. But there needs to be a reason apart from having the best players as to why the Panthers cannot succeed. Why the Toronto Maple Leafs cannot succeed. Why the Arizona Coyotes cannot succeed. Why the Buffalo Sabres cannot succeed. The Cleveland Browns. And unfortunately, we will never know.
Team management is so important in these professional sports, and I feel like there are just times where people don't manage the teams properly. And again, I also believe that it comes down to the fact that the salary cap for leagues, especially like the NHL, it needs to be readjusted. I know we're thinking we're going to see a pretty decent bump in the next couple of years when it comes to the salary cap in the NHL, and I'm hoping that that's true because, like, we had a stoppage because of COVID, and I don't know, I feel like it's really limiting teams. If a team wants to hand out a bunch of money and sign a bunch of players, let them. I understand it's needed to make teams more competitive and stuff, but put a tax on it, like a luxury tax.
How much is the salary cap in the NHL? 85 mil?
81.5.
Do you want to know how much it is in the NFL?
I don't need to know.
It's like $182 million.
Yeah, it's insane. But that's the thing also, is the NFL makes billions of dollars.
I understand that. But here's the thing. I don't think having a $182 million salary cap for the NHL would do anything. I don't think having a $100 million salary cap for the NHL would do anything. I understand why it's there. So teams like Tampa, whether it be the Buccaneers or the Lightning, can't approach Sidney Crosby, Ovechkin, McDavid, Draisaitl, Tarasenko, Matthews, and be like, hey, come on over, come on in, Shania Twain style. Let's get her going. Let's get you guys some rings. Because it can't happen that way. The fact of the matter is,
if there was 182 million cap space for the NHL, you could literally build a super team and just that'd be it. Because everybody would go there, get paid, and want to win because they're surrounded with the greats. It's like Team NHL. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't think it could work.
We talked about it briefly before. Both the Lightning and the Buccaneers are doing the same thing. People are taking cuts so they can get good players. But
it's like we talked about it with Boston too. We talked about it in the summer with Boston. Mm-hmm. They have I think they finally have a player that's making over $7 million, and that's not even until next year when McAvoy's extension gets put in. But I think that's insane. Like, you've got all these players that come into Boston and take cuts because they know that they want this team to succeed. They want to be a part of a team that can win.
So then here is my question. Why the fuck does other teams not do this? And this is why I think there needs to be a huge change in... I don't even care about the other teams, but in Toronto. And the reason why I don't care about the other teams is because I don't want to see another Canadian team win it. Maybe the Oilers, because I think it would be pretty cool to see McDavid hoist the cup. But that's second on my list.
He will hoist the cup in 6 years when he joins the Leafs.
No, he'll be joining the Leafs after he gets the cup, so he can retire with an $11 million contract. Because the Leafs either build stars or they let them build their grave or dig their grave there. Which is my point exactly, because if they really wanted to win, there wouldn't be 4 or 5 players with $46 million in cap space.
It's like when Riley's extension comes in, it'll be like $53 million in cap space hooked up in 5 players.
That is fucking absurd, and there's no... What do you do with that? Like, we just talked about Odell Beckham Jr. and teams not wanting to take on $8 million. They have... There's teams right now... that have plenty of cap space that could easily take them. The Panthers are one of them. Yeah, have 11 mil. Jaguars is another. They have almost $30 million in cap space. But there's a big... You have no wiggle room. You got no... You have... Let's say, for example, you pick someone up like Braden Point in the draft. You get that lucky pick that we have. Okay, that's awesome. He'll play for you for his 2-year entry level. Maybe he scores 25, 35 goals. Or maybe we get into the progressive NHL by then and it's a fucking female. And she's scoring 25, 35 goals in a season. Well, there's another $7 million. I just look at it at this. Where the fuck do you get off giving someone $11 million to fucking shoot a puck? Who do you think they are? Tom Brady? That's Tom Brady. Let's keep that in mind. They're making Tom Brady money with no fucking rings. And I know, I was an advocate.
There's 2 players on the Leafs that are worth what they're getting paid, and it's Tavares and Matthews, and that's because they're centers.
Let's not forget about Nylander.
3. I was just about to say 3. Nylander's in there. Nylander should be making more, but I'm going to leave it at that because he's...
I would even argue.
And Riley's getting paid right now what he's worth. And I still think that his deal... I don't know. You can tell with that Riley re-signing that he wants to be there. And he knows that he had to take a pay cut. Because he could have went out to free agency and made Dougie Hamilton money. He could have made Seth Jones money. But he wants to be here. And he knows that it's going to be...
For
I don't
our
care if
audio
you're shaking your head.
For our audio listeners, love you to death. I'm shaking my head because he's not an $8 million player. He's not a $7 million player. He's not. And neither is Tavares. Unfortunately. The only one I think that could maybe be making $9 million, Matthews. Tavares, I don't know.
I feel like Tavares is.
I need to let his season play out. I need to see him play a little bit more on the Leafs. But he's also holding the seat.
He's point per game. He's point per game since he joined the Leafs.
Who's this?
Tavares.
Point per game?
Yeah.
How many games have you played so far?
Over 200.
Okay, yeah.
That first season when he was with us really helped because he scored like 47 goals and had like 97 points or some shit like that. But
is he still worth 11 mil?
I believe that he's. I think he's going to start declining in the next couple of years, and I think at that point he won't be. Again, I was going to say I think the back couple seasons of that deal are going to really hurt us, but then once his contract's up, I think he'll re-sign for something relatively cheaper. But then at that point as well, it's Matthews and Marner and Nylander are up for new deals and raises, or
and guess what?
Pay cuts. I hope Marner leaves.
I will not be fucking surprised if you guys get a new GM who fucking re-signs all of them for the same fucking amount. And I'll tell you something right now. If Marner or Matthews gets traded...
Matthews isn't getting traded, ever.
I'm saying hypothetically. There's a bigger chance of Marner getting traded, but if the chance that Matthews gets traded too, I could promise you two things will happen. They'll probably end up retiring, or there's going to be some weird fucking agreement because they know that they're not going to be getting the same amount of money. Marner is going to get a huge fucking reality check once that guy hits waivers, hits the trade deadline, something. Once his contract is up.
Like, he could have taken an easy pay cut just because he's on the Leafs. Like, once you're a Leaf forever, you solidify brand deals forever. So I live in London, Ontario. That's where he played his junior years and stuff like that. And there's a real estate company here that he's on billboards for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when Zach Hyman was in Toronto, he had, and I think they're actually still playing them. He was on the Leafs radio network. He was part of the sponsors for one of the lawyers in Toronto, for an injury lawyer in Toronto. Like, when you play for the Leafs, Ty Domi and Cujo are still doing ads for, like, Shaw Communications and crap. Or, like, windows and doors. You don't get these kind of brand endorsements and shit anywhere else in this league. So why are...
Maybe the Rangers.
Maybe.
I would say probably Tampa now, with the excitement that they brought in, but probably nowhere near to the extent as Toronto or the Rangers. I would say the only team that's probably up there with them in endorsement deals and whatnot, as a team, as recognizable, is probably the Rangers. That would be the only one. But I would say Ovechkin's bigger than all of them combined. And Crosby, especially Crosby. And he's another one, too. He's all over, what is it, PEI?
Yeah,
where he's from?
that's where he was. Or
Nova Scotia.
Yeah,
Nova Scotia, right. Yeah, he's all over there.
Same with McKinnon.
Yeah.
I just, man... I'm going to say it one last time, like, the contracts on the Leafs could be way better. I feel
they
like...
could be. And you know what? I mean, last episode I was an advocate for saying, let the conversation drop. And we should let the conversation drop. But the fact of the matter is, sound like my dad when I say that, something big needs to happen with these low-tier teams. Not to say that Leafs is a low-tier team, but they're damn near close, I would say. I think what makes them stop from being a low-tier team is the fact that Matthews is on that team. Is the fact that Tavares is on that team. Campbell making the noise he is in between the pipes. But I still think they should face the same kind of scrutiny that the low teams do face when it comes to management. Because I think if you guys had a coach like John Cooper, Barry Trotz, someone like that, you guys could very much benefit from it, because there was a big difference in what I saw with the Washington Capitals once Barry Trotz came in. Because
it's just like with the Islanders. The Islanders have completely turned around since Barry Trotz went there. I feel like that was one of the biggest problems with Washington was they let him go. Like, he's not part of your salary cap. I don't understand why they didn't just offer him the sun and the moon to stay with that team. Washington probably could have won another couple cups if he just stuck around. Mm-hmm. But they let him go. And, like, the Islanders have made it to the conference finals twice now. I don't know. You probably should move on from this whole contract discussion, though, because I think it's getting old.
Oh, 100% it's getting old. But is it relevant? Yes. Are we wasting our fucking breath? Yes. Because there's going to be no one that's going to be, like, no one on the Leafs organization that's going to be watching this and go, oh yeah, maybe
I don't think Dubas is listening in on this podcast. It'd be cool if he was, but I doubt it.
Yeah, Dubas, grow the fuck up, okay? If you are watching or listening, fucking do something.
Carey Price is set to return on Monday.
I don't even know what's going on. I don't even know why he... I don't even know why he left. Was it because of his injury?
No, it was personal.
Or was
leave.
it the mental health?
He went into the same player assistance program that Drouin was in last season. And when you go into that system, you're in there for a minimum of 30 days, and then I guess it may have been like mental health or something like that. We don't know. We won't find out until if he does even talk about it. But yeah, he's set to return on Monday, which is good for that team, at least mentally, because like I understand he's not going to be playing right away, but that team is just abysmal. Like they're at the bottom of the standings. Right now. 3-10. They lost. They were winning, I think it was last night. I think they were winning 2-1 against Vegas after the first period, and then Vegas came back and just completely demolished them. And Vegas is like injury riddled. They've got $27 million on long-term injury reserve now that they brought over Eichel, which is insane to me. But yeah, so Price is coming back. It'll be good for them. Hopefully, maybe they'll string together some wins or something like that. Another thing that I'd like to mention when it comes to Montreal is Cole Caulfield getting sent down after all of the Montreal fans last season being like he's their savior, and he's like Nick was saying earlier, he's better than Braden Point and all this stuff. And like
I was just saying that, by the way. I was mocking the
you were
Montreal
saying
Canadian
that
fans.
Canadians fans were saying that he's better than Braden Point, and
just hilarious.
It's just hilarious to see this guy who they think is their savior to just get sent down to the AHL. I understand it could be better for him when it comes to actually being on a team that might actually win some games. I think maybe Montreal, maybe their management team has finally decided that their team in the NHL is going to completely suck this season, so they decided to put him down with the young guns and tear it up in the AHL this season.
He just needs to build his confidence back. Yeah. I think that's all it was. Coming off the hype and the playoff run there, I think that...
Yeah,
just kind of...
playoff run. The playoff run that was fucking handed to them on a silver platter. The Montreal Canadiens, I don't give a fuck who you are, should not have been in that fucking position that they were in. They should not have been the team facing off against the Tampa Bay Lightning. They should have lost.
Should have been out first round.
They shouldn't have even been in the playoffs in the first place. That abysmal fucking record they have was a goddamn joke. It was like 14 wins.
I think I saw something about after the playoffs ended, they still had, I think, 3 less wins than the Leafs did throughout the entire season. That's including playoff wins.
Jesus.
Because their record was so awful.
It's horrible.
And I feel like a major problem with last season was like teams like Vancouver getting their season like halted because of the entire team catching COVID and stuff like that. It just kind of really screwed around with there's nothing you can really do. I feel like I agree. Just Montreal should not have been in that position at all. There were 3 teams beforehand that should have knocked them off that didn't.
Yeah.
If they had a 1 last season, I would have stopped watching hockey. I don't even understand.
I would have broken all of my shit. Just beat the shit out of my fucking MacBook with my iPad.
Yeah, that is brutal. I don't know. I hate to think about it because it just pisses me off.
Yeah.
No, again, their entire way there, the first line center on each team got taken out in the first game. Tavares, Scheifele, Chandler Stevenson on Vegas. Like all these players that were like supposedly the first line center on their opposing team was gone after the first game. So they had a very easy route to get to the final because like one of the top players on each team on the other side was gone. That's not an excuse, but it's an excuse in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
Brady Tkachuk
captain
named the 10th captain of the Sens, which is pretty, I guess you could say it's notable for the 15 Ottawa Senators fans that live on this planet.
Sure.
I mean, it's good for him. I thought they would honestly, to be quite honest, I thought they would have given the C to Shabbat because he's been there longer, but it's kind of the same situation. I thought they would have given the C to Morgan Riley, but they gave it to Tavares, but okay. That's a whole other conversation for a whole other day that I don't want to get into, but yeah, I mean, it's good for him. After that whole contract saga in the summer and stuff like that, it's good to see that he got his contract and then he's given the C. He's going to be there for a while, so.
It's good to give it to somebody young and who's going to be there for a while, not like be Seattle and give it to a guy who's going to retire next season. So it makes absolutely no sense. But I'm happy for Brady that he got the C. You know, he's like the heartbeat of that team, so.
One of the only good players on that team.
Yeah. I think Shabbat could have been another candidate for that team as well, but
I think he's got the A.
Yeah.
So.
Good enough, I guess.
Yeah.
well,
I have nothing else other to say on that other than the fact that he's just the captain. Good for him.
yeah, good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him for sure. But you know, we got that camera, this camera, and that camera. Tell the audience what you what you're doing. Well, one time I was so broke that my card declined when I was getting a pack of Mr. Noodles at a corner store.
Imagine.
And the guy told me just to take it, so that's what I was dealing with at that time. So yeah, hopefully we can get another episode out to you guys soon. But yeah, hopefully some other kind of hopefully everything with the NHLPA and whatnot and Kyle Beach gets settled and whatnot. But until then, keep your head up and stick on the ice. See ya. Be sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date with new episodes every week, and to check out our Instagram, Twitter, and SoundCloud for our audio-only listeners. See you guys next time.